Hello, welcome everybody. If you've been with us for a little while this evening already, then you know that we're at the last segment of our Teen Pride Lounge today. If this is the first thing you're tuning in for, we've had tonight going on a series of 3 different programs that you can always go back and watch on our YouTube page. First up, we had author talk with Leah Johnson and Tom Ryan, a wonderful conversation about queer representation in YA literature. And we also had a couple craft programs that you can check out on our YouTube channel as well. So for now, I'm here with Victoria from Planned Parenthood and Brennan from the Gay Youth Chorus to talk about what they're doing in the community and how it relates to our teens. So my name is Teresa Miller. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a librarian with Prince George's County Memorial Library System. And Victoria, do you want to start off introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you. So my name is Victoria Ogalaya. I'm the health education coordinator at Planned Parenthood in Washington, Metropolitan Washington and DC, long name. My pronouns are she, her, hers. What I do there is I run both of our youth programs. So one is a peer health education program and another one is for female or femme-identified youth where we raise awareness around ethnic and gender pride. Outside of that, I work in communities, facilitating multiple different health education classes, all surrounding sexual and reproductive health. So topics ranging from anatomy all the way to consent and pleasure, up to sexual orientation. So those are things that I do at Planned Parenthood.
Thank you. And Brennan.
Hi, I'm Brennan. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm part of the GenOUT youth course, which is the Washington, D.C. area's only vocal ensemble for LGBTQ plus and allied youth, and one of only 9 such ensembles in the U.S.
Great. So I'd love for each of you to share a little bit in more detail, some more about what you do, and also specifically how your work is connected to LGBTQ plus teens. Victoria, do you want to go first?
Thank you. So I can start off first with our peer health education program. So with our peer health education program, what we do is every school year, we run a cohort of high school youth. So typically between the ages of 14 to 17 years old. We recruit them early on and we have an orientation process, an interview process for them where they apply to be peer health educators with us. Those who are selected, they go through about a week orientation with us. And then throughout the rest of the programming, we train them on all things sexual and reproductive health. We bring in guest speakers, have job roundtables. We also have opportunities for our youth to host teen nights. And during those teen nights is usually around a certain topic that the youth want to raise awareness about or something that they just currently learned, and they're sharing that information with teens. Since COVID, we have transitioned our entire program virtually. So about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we just ended our first fully virtual program, which is actually amazing because this was the first time in a long time we were able to get youth from DC, Maryland, and Virginia who joined the program because we were able to eliminate the barrier of transportation. So that has been really great. And the last teen night that our teens actually hosted was surrounding the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia, which was amazing. They talked about queer representation in the media. They also talked about non-binary folk and that they wish that there were more representation of non-binary folk who are older because as teens, it looks, and their representation are usually in media that's geared towards teens, so it kind of makes it look like it's a phase. And it was just amazing that they were able to come up with everything and talk about it on their own. I'm very laid back in terms of being a coordinator, so they really come up with everything, and I just say yes and really say no because they're extremely amazing. Outside of the teen nights and the people that we bring in for them, they also help promote things on our Instagram page. So they actually create content for our Instagram page. They promote it themselves through our Instagram page. They also have an anonymous chat function where people can ask them questions and then they go in and answer those questions. So that's peer health education. And then outside of that, we have CLA. So CLA is our female or femme identified program. In this program, we do accept transgender girls or those who are transgender but may have more of a femme presenting personality or identity. This one is really great on just building ethnic pride and gender pride because it's also centered around youth of color, so Black youth and youth of color. And this one, it's more of like a clubhouse than it is like a structured program where although we still teach them about different sexual and reproductive health topics, we also talk to them a lot about their values and how they can express their values in this world, especially with the identities that they hold. We talk a lot about adult preparation. So a lot of times youth who is in that program, they are about to transition on to furthering their education, whether it be college, trade school, or entering the workforce. So we typically try to bring in that can help bridge that gap and make that transition smoother. So we brought in a financial advisor before to speak to the people who are there. We've connected them with different colleges. We've had conferences in the past that center around entrepreneurship because that's what a lot of them are interested in. So along those lines, we also focus a lot on mental health in that program. We understand that there's a huge intersection between sexual and mental health. So what we've done in the past is we've had yoga instructors come. We've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington. We have a phenomenal yoga instructor who matches the identities of the youth who are in the program. And that's also led to just larger conversations of then in the future, hopefully bringing in social workers and therapists that can also meet the needs of the youth. All the programs that we do, we typically are always providing meals with them. Parent health education is stipend. So youth receive a stipend quarterly while they're with us throughout the entire school year. With CLA, they're able to get community service learning hours, professional development hours, if that works. And then I also mentioned that in the community, I teach different health education classes. So we go in and we will take over for maybe a gym class or a health class or just a class where a teacher has requested us to come in, and either we'll do one-off sessions, so we'll speak on one topic, or we'll do a series of education classes with them where we go through the whole spiel of all the sexual and reproductive health topics. And what we do a lot is we make sure that we tailor our information to be inclusive of all identities, all races, to be inclusive of those who might have intellectual disabilities or any physical disabilities. Those are things that we've paid attention to a lot during the pandemic, and we haven't just noticed it, but we also have applied it. And I would say in my 2 years of being with this company, I've noticed that there has been a higher request and a surge for us to come in and teach about sexual orientation and gender identity and gender expression. I don't know if you all are familiar with the gender unicorn, but we use that a lot because we have to be respectful of our students' identities as well. We work with a range of youth, so they can start as young as like 5th or 6th grade, even sometimes younger, all the way up to high school and then sometimes college. So we see a large range of identities. And I think people who aren't used to working with youth, they believe that this isn't prevalent or it's just a phase or something that happens. But no, this is their real life. This is youth who are expressing who they are. So we always want to make sure that our scenarios aren't binary, that we're teaching, about anatomy for intersex youth and what puberty looks like for transgender youth and things like that. And then outside of that, we also come in, or if people request for it, we might do trainings for youth serving professionals who may want to get more familiar with SOGI language. So once again, SOGI is an acronym for sexual orientation and then gender identity, gender expression. So for those who work with youth serving professionals who want to become more comfortable with the language and want to learn more to really work with the youth that they are working with, even though we're not working with directly. So we'll come in and we'll do those trainings.
Amazing. Wow. You just poured out so many incredible resources and work that's being done for queer youth and also not queer youth, just anyone who wants to engage more with sexuality and health. Really amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. Brennan, we would love to hear from you also with the GenOUT chorus. what that entails, what your specific involvement is, and also what, like, as a larger group you're doing, and how that connects to our LGBTQ plus teens who are watching.
Yeah, so I'll start, I guess, with GenOUT's mission, which is to provide LGBTQ plus and allied youth with a voice and to connect that voice to the community. And so in a normal year, we would do this by we participate in many of the GMCW, which is the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington, mainstream shows or main stage shows, as well as giving outreach performances at local events, schools, and churches around the DC metro area. Some of the most notable places we performed are the Kennedy Center, White House, Library of Congress, National Cathedral, and our outreach has also taken us to places such as Denver for the 2016 Gala Chorus Festival, as well as rural Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. GenOUT really, like, mission of GenOUT is, I guess, to provide a space where LGBTQ plus and allied youth can be their authentic selves, actively participate in social justice, and use their voice to uplift and inspire. And for me especially, and also I know for LGBTQ plus youth, having a kind of community like that is especially important, as heteronormative society often, um, deprives us of that kind of community. So having that is really important. And I've been in GenOUT for uh, 6 years now, I think. I actually just we actually just ended, so I'm going off to college, so that was it. But during my time in GenOUT, it was really a life-changing experience. It taught me so much. I'm a way better person for it, and yeah, and it really provides that community for LGBTQ plus youth.
Amazing. Brennan, you can answer this next question first. What about your work um, do you get the most excited about sharing with other teens?
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that I get excited about, but I think the thing that I'm most proud of and most excited about is the stuff that we did this past year during the pandemic. In addition to continuing making music, we also expanded our focus, I guess, to learning about racial justice. We educated ourselves about concepts such as police reform and cultural appropriation, examined white privilege, and worked to foster anti-racist and anti-bias practice into our rehearsals and daily lives. And we also read articles, watched videos, listened to podcasts, and even had guest speakers come in and teach us about all this. And that work definitely really opened up my eyes to a part of history that is not taught in schools. It certainly wasn't taught um, when at my school. And um, it's taught me how to be a more effective ally. And we were able to also connect that learning, what we learned, to our music by specifically choosing songs that uplift African and African American people, which was extremely exciting as well. So I'm always really proud to and excited to tell people about just the work that we do and how much we've grown.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to give a real quick plug for a program that's happening at 7 o'clock that you can find on our events page at pgcmls.info/events. We're streaming a concert with by the Gay Men's Chorus, so you can view that online at 7. Victoria, for you, what do you get the most excited about sharing with LGBTQ plus teens?
Thank you. And first, I just want to congratulate you on your way out to college. Don't know where you're going, but congratulations. Have fun. I hope the COVID things doesn't get in the way of your time there. So for me, what is very rewarding or get excited to tell the youth about is just all the resources that we provide. I think a lot of people still hold a large stigma when they hear Planned Parenthood, and they are not even aware of, like, there's different affiliates that come in there. A lot of people just aren't aware of all the resources that they have at Planned Parenthood. So I think when youth know that we have different peer health education programs that they can join, when they know they can get community service learning hours from it, when they can do an after school program with their friends, or they can actually be the reason why we come to their school, to recruit during school time, or just things like that. When they find out that they actually have like a voice and that they can act on that voice, is not something that they're just shouting into the abyss. Like, we're listening to them, and that we can actually take their ideas and bring it alive. So what they envision, the world that they want, we are actually assisting them. A lot of times I say, I work for you. So I tell you, let me know what you need from me, and I can get that done for you, if it's in the realms of what I can. And if I can't do it, let's find someone else that can do it for you. I think what's also been really exciting is when our youth are able to start to understand how everything is connected and intersectional. So when we talk about just all the different sexual and reproductive health topics, how that those topics also affect different communities and what is needed in each community to achieve the overall goal. So if the overall goal is, teaching Soji to communities, you have to talk about the communities that may not recognize different genders or are still very binary, and how can you meet them where they are, but still, provide education and a space for those people who are in those communities that do identify as that, or understanding that, some people may not be able to conceptualize or understand some of the things you tell them because there might be other factors in place that are in the way. So it could be either an intellectual disability or just general mental wellness that's not there, that is blocking them from being able to like see the bigger picture of what you want them to get. So when we talk a lot about the intersectionalities, then they also kind of become advocates for other things. So all of my youth always become advocates for mental health because we're advocates for mental health. They also become advocates for food insecurity, and they become advocates for housing, and they become advocates for just overall health and screening and testing. And then they also, learn more about how different systems come in place, like racism and things like that, while we're teaching it. So that's been really exciting, where they start off thinking they're just coming to get trained in how to put a condom on and pass condoms out to people. But once they leave, they really are advocates for themselves. And then just being able to understand how all things intersect.
Wonderful, thank you. For anyone listening, if what Victoria shared about those intersecting areas of advocacy is resonating with you, there was also a wonderful discussion along similar lines in the author talk earlier, so definitely check that out on YouTube when you get a chance. So last of all, how can teens get involved with your work? Victoria, why don't you go first?
So the first thing they can do, if they just want a very low lift in getting involved with us, is they can follow us on our Instagram page. It is Our Voices _ Our Choices. On that page, we usually post announcements of any recruitment events we're doing, when we're opening new CLA cohorts, when we're recruiting for parent education, when there are other things going on in our affiliate that we want them to be a part of, and uplifting other Planned Parenthood youth groups around the nation that we also work with. So if that's low lift, then they want to do that. If they want to really get involved, they definitely can still go to that website, and there will be links to either sign up for CLA. You can start your own cohort. You do not have to go to the same school. If it's just you and 2 friends, you can sign up and we'll work with you. If you want to bring CLA to your school, that's fine. And then outside of CLA, there's Pear Health Education. With Pear Health Education, what they can do is just keep an eye out for when we open up applications. So applications usually open up early September, so right when the school year starts again, and then we get started with programming by the middle of October. So keeping an eye out on that. Also this summer, we participate in the SYEP program, which is the Summer Youth Employment Program, where we have a small cohort of those who are enrolled in the SYEP program who are with us for 6 weeks, and we kind of do an accelerated peer health education program with them. You'll catch them online. They'll have a few Instagram lives that they'll have, and a teen night that they'll possibly plan as well. So those are the ways that they can get involved with us. They can also reach out to me personally, and I'll put my information for them to reach out in the chat, and send me an email. if they're just looking for any opportunities, because we also collaborate very heavily with our public affairs teams. And sometimes there are opportunities there for people to volunteer.
Wonderful, thank you. And Brennan, how can teens get involved with the GenOUT chorus?
Yeah, so I think like you can come to some of our shows. We have, uh, like I said, we do the main stage shows during the winter for like our Christmas holiday show. We also have our own Youth Invasion, GenOUT's Youth Invasion, which is in the spring. And we also, I know that I'm not sure if it's happening this summer, but there is a week-long GenOUT summer camp that you can get involved in just to get some exposure to GenOUT. And also, this is kind of obvious, but you can join the course. It's extremely fun, and our director is one of the kindest, most empathetic and musical people I know. And you get to meet youth from other schools, from around the DMV. And what's great is that you all have something in common, and you don't have to, it's not audition, so you don't have to like be the greatest singer in the world. You just have to have a love of music and a desire to use your voice to create change.
Wonderful, thank you. Since we do have a little more time than I expected us to, sorry that this question is kind of, I wasn't given to you to prepare for, but if you have something you want to share, I'm wondering what's something that you've taken away from your work in these areas personally that you would want to share out with any LGBTQ plus teens who are watching. And I'm not going to call on anyone specifically to answer first. Just whenever you think of something, you can unmute and share that.
Well, one thing that I've kind of taken away is just there's like the big intersection, I guess, between music and activism. There is activism within every like part of music making, and in terms of, and so that's really set me on a course, and it's really like opened my eyes to all the possibilities of music and what it can do and how it can really change lives. And our the our director is always telling us how there's always someone in the audience who needs to hear you, and that is something that I think is very important, and I hold that really close. That there's always there's always a place that you belong, and you might not have it. Uh, like I'm not sure. Like if you might, it might not make itself apparent like immediately, but GenOUT is always open, and uh, it's I highly recommend, like if you want to, you can join it, and it's really a life-changing experience. And um, I think that the big I'm kind of going kind of spiraling all over the place here, but the main takeaway that I got from GenOUT is that that community is extremely important, and that I think I've already said this, but that community really is important. And when you have that kind of community, it makes all the difference for you, because you have friends, you have people who support you, you have people who, my choir director, he also gives me private lessons, and we do music theory and stuff, and he's also just there to hear when I have problems. And so you really make lifelong friendships, and you have those resources for you available. And so I think take advantage of these resources, and the resources that Victoria is also providing as well. Um, like it, it's, yeah, um, not very eloquently said. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. Um, but I do want to echo off of what Brennan said, that community is really important. Typically, I say like your ecosystem, your chosen community. There's communities that we are just a part of based off of where we live, the schools we go to, and things like that. where we may not choose to be there, but you can find a chosen community, or a chosen family, as others may say, and it's there. Even though, kind of like Brennan said, it may not seem like that, but you kind of have to, when you feel like it's safe and you're ready to venture out and find it, because it may not just come to you. But like Brennan said, joining programs like this can help you get to those communities closer. I think what's also important is like to try and apply. A lot of things, I think in today's society, quitting is frowned upon a lot, but you have to try something to know if you like it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can move on from it. So I think a lot of people feel as though like they have, once they try something, that sticks to their identity, and that's not generally the case. That if you try peer health education and you don't like it, it's okay, you can move on. If you try the GenOUT course, you don't like it, it's okay, you can move on. But being able to like try, and once you do try, you normally do gain at least one person from each of those programs that you're in, or just anything that you engage with, who then eventually next thing you look around are part of your chosen community. So I think that's really important. I think what's also really important is just the emphasis on really practicing what you preach. I think in just sexual and reproductive health, that I've noticed the most is it's, since it's all intersectional, you can't really just like walk away. It's not like one of those jobs that you really just like leave at the table, because you're putting in those practice in your everyday life. So if if you're preaching about inclusivity, and make sure that you're practicing that in your real life. If you're talking about the importance of mental health, make sure you're practicing mental health in your own life, that you're putting yourself first, and that you're making sure that you're the healthiest that you are. So everything that you are striving for, or asking, or trying to get other people to strive for, make sure that you're doing it for yourself as well, because then it's easier, and it will be more natural the more that you do it.
Thank you both so much for your time today, for helping teens learn about these wonderful resources and community opportunities, and also for sharing your own insight into what kind of things we need as queer young people. So yes, we're so glad we were able to host you both today. If for anyone watching, if you did miss our earlier programs, like I said, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and watch them. You can find a link to our YouTube channel on our website, or you can just search for PGC MLS on YouTube. Also, remember to check out our upcoming program, the Gay Men's Chorus concert, starting in just 2 minutes. Access that through our event page. We're also doing a couple of events over the weekend and next week in partnership with the LGBTQ Dignity Project, which is a local advocacy group in Prince George's County. So I encourage you to look for them on social media, especially Facebook and Instagram. That's the LGBTQ Dignity Project, and find out more about those events. And they're also listed on our events calendar. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you everyone who's watching, whether it's now or later once this is up on YouTube. And happy Pride.
Bye. Happy Pride. Thank you.